G'day folks, this is me again, telling you how I make things. This isn't designed for a specialist audience, but rather for those people that like to know how some of the stuff that I make is made. So today I'm going to go through the process of constructing a lamp, and I'm going to try and put some three-dimensional relief onto that lamp. Okay, so here's the lamp. I bought it from Wilko's. I can't remember how much it cost, but it wasn't exactly cheap. I've taken the glass out because I can't use bullseye glass for this project. So what I've done is I've cut pieces of bullseye glass to go into the spaces, and you can see I've already painted onto those the stems, which are going to be the flat part of the relief. So that's done in enamel paint. And here's my trusty enamel paint, Glassline enamel paint, which is wonderful. And on top of that, I'm going to do make some leaves, and you can see the beautiful piece of glass that I've just used. It's called Aventurine Green. It's one of my favourite colours. If I hold it up to the light, you'll see it's got the most wonderful texture. Okay, and these are the leftover bits of glass where I've cut out my leaves. There we go. Obviously I'm not going to try and teach you how to cut glass, because that's a skill that takes a lot of practice over time, and there are much better videos to tell people how to do that. So here are some of my finished leaves, and they are going to be placed upon here, and they're going to be fired, and so that's going to be part of the first wave of firing, and they're going to create part of the flat texture. Now, one part you won't see at the moment is going to be the relief texture, and yesterday I made an assortment of butterflies and flowers and dragonflies, all in glass. So I did this by filling one of these moulds to 800 degrees with a substance called frit in it. Now this is frit, and frit is powdered glass, well, chopped up glass, and you can get different grades. Okay, so this is medium, this is coarse, and it's quite clear why it's coarse. It looks more like that lump sugar that you get at fancy coffee shops, and you can see this one's iridised. You can see this lovely shine on it. And this is powdered glass, and it's the most dangerous form because it's fine and it can get into your lungs, and it can do serious damage to your lungs, which is why folks have got lots of P95 masks. Okay, so this is the powdered form of this. So that is what that looks like powdered, and when I fuse it again, it will look a little bit more like this again. Anyway, so you fill the moulds and you put it in the kiln to about 804 degrees, and you produce these. And you can see I've put a bit of dichroic up the centre to give it a bit of touch. Now, these are going to provide the relief on the glass, but what you have to think about when you're doing glass is if you put it on all together, it will all go flat into the glass, because what I need is I need this to be fired hot, and I need that to be fired to give a smooth shape, and I need to put some frit around here to represent the ground and some frit to represent the sky. Both of those will give this a lovely colour when the light shines through on the lamp. So that's my next job. When that's done, then I'll add the 3 dimensions and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so now I've placed my leaves. You can see I've put some relief on them, and I'm just going to use some glass tack just to hold them in place while I finish off the rest. Glass tack is a cross between a sort of washing up liquid and glue. When it dries, it tends to hold things in place. I'm just putting a drip of glass tack on either end. Okay, so now I'm about to add the Aventurine Green, at the bottom. And these lovely tea strainers are absolutely wonderful for this job. So what I'm going to do is gently shake around the base. And I'm probably going to add a little bit more texture as well, to create a nice colourful look. Okay, I'm a sucker for blue, particularly this kind of blue. So this is going to form the sky, but as you can see, even though I've fairly carefully dropped it in place, some of it's gone on to the stems, and we don't want that because it'll make the stems look a bit muddy. So I'm very gently taking away any bits of blue that happen to be on the stems with a cotton bud. Cotton buds are wonderful, I go through tons of them. Okay, so I'll just come back over a bit. You can see what that's going to look like. Now, when it's finished, I'm going to put on some flowers, and then I'm just going to tack those to the surface, leave them standing up from the surface, and hopefully that'll be good. Now, what I've got to be really careful of is that is going to be the frame of the lamp, so I need to leave any deep texture away from that edge. This might cause me a bit of problems, so I might just take that stem back a little bit before we go to fire it. Thing to do, I've just got to cover the painted areas with a little bit of fine clear frit. That will melt down and create a sort of glossy feel. The paints themselves have to be fired covered, because otherwise they look very dull and horrible. If you put a nice thin layer of glossy frit over the top, they end up looking nice and glossy, and that's a much better, much more attractive look. Anyway, so that's one panel almost finished. I'll just show you when I've put the fine frit on it. Here we are. That's one ready for its first firing. You'll tell from my voice that I haven't taken my mask off, and that's really important because in here is some powdered frit, and we just have to protect ourselves from that safely. Okay, now here's my lovely scut kiln, which I bought second-hand a few years ago, which I absolutely adore. And it's got the 3 pieces in, now ready to be fired for their first firing. Now, the whole piece is actually going to take 3 firings. First to create the flowers, second to create the background, and then third to create the relief. Here we go. That's a full kiln for you to look at. Okay, so I've got my 3 panels. That's going to be a sun catcher. I've never done one like this before, but we'll just have to see how it turns out. And of course that's my rainbows, of which I've been making a lot. I couldn't put a heart onto that one because it was too short. But that's a nicely full up kiln, and hopefully we'll get some solar energy to power it as well. So I'll just set the kiln, and it will take about 5 hours before you can see this again. Well, I said that I wouldn't post the final picture of the lamp unless it was successful. Well, it was partly successful, and I'll explain why. As you can see from the picture, I've had to use a bit of araldite. My plan to just tack the flowers to the surface without affecting their shape by using a very low temperature only worked on most of the flowers, not all of them. So I've had to cheat and return to my old favourite araldite. Anyway, I'm going to reveal the result, and I hope that you like them. There you are. So that's the lamp. So on one side we have butterflies and flowers. This side we have a dragonfly and 4 flowers, and this is the side that didn't work as well. And I don't know whether it's the position in the kiln or whether it's the different reactive behaviour of that particular colour of frit. It could be either. And I'll just turn it round for the other side. And there we are. That's the other butterfly, and 3 flowers again. And again, all of these stuck, as did the butterfly. And this is just to show you how nice the back door is as well, which is just ordinary plain cathedral glass, which I really like. So anyway, if I can just bring the camera around, it'll show you how far the flowers sort of stick off from the surface. So they're actually, if I can just get it to focus there. That's it. So you can see that these flowers sort of stick proud of the glass, which is the effect I wanted, this three-dimensional effect. So you've got the leaves, if I can pull out a bit. The leaves are sort of flat, just sticking up a little bit from the surface, as is the frit and the bullseye glass behind. But the flowers themselves are actually three-dimensional, sticking away from the glass. I'm very proud of that effect. So there you have it, my first three-dimensional lump.